Hello, travelers. Welcome to Life Between Flights, the podcast about small business, the travel industry, and all of life's interruptions in between. I am your host, Cecily North Rudo, certified travel advisor and owner of Traveling North Travel Agency. I had a very busy day yesterday. I met for coffee with a new person in one of my networking groups, and then did work for a while, and then had a lunch networking meeting, and then went back to work for a while, talked to some clients in the evening. And it was just a really, really busy day. And between just all of the hat wearing and sort of towards as I was finishing out my day in the office kind of late, and I was getting texts from my husband saying, "When are you coming home?" Because my kiddo was a grumpy little girl. And so the mom guilt is overwhelming. And that is something that I was talking to this new connection of mine yesterday morning, and she has 3 children. And her kids are older, but she was just like, just know that the mom guilt never goes away. And it's something that has been on my mind as a working mom for the past, 5 years. And I know that it never goes away, and it never feels good at all leaving my daughter. But I was telling this new connection yesterday that the one thing that I know, even though in these early years, like there were times where, I would be working and I'd have to leave her at home, and she would, of course, be sad and upset. And then there was phases of time where she was perfectly fine with it, and she was just happy when I got home. And now we've gone back to this. She gets really, really upset when I'm headed to work. I am blessed to be able to work from home and be home with her a little bit more now, but it's just like, I know it's a phase, and I know soon enough she's going to be a teenager and have no interest in me whatsoever. But it was like knowing that she was just tired yesterday and hungry and all of that stuff. And when I came home, she just had the biggest smile on her face and came running up to me and gave me a big hug. And that's just what makes it feel better, because there's definitely times where I don't feel valued as a working mom because I'm trying to do all of the things and trying to provide for my family and make money and be a productive member of society and all of the things. And it's hard when the people I'm around don't necessarily see that. They just see it as an inconvenience that I'm at work, or that I'm being a bad mom because I'm not home with my child. And I was telling this person yesterday that for me, my mom worked the whole time that I was growing up. I think there was about 6 months when I was like first born that she was home, but the rest of the time she worked. And thankfully her schedule allowed for her to like drop me off at school and pick me up from school and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, but I want my daughter to see that for me, I'm highly educated. I have a business. I have a full-time job that I love. I have a career that I'm passionate about. I'm doing all of these things because I want her to have a better life, but I also want her to have a role model of someone that like you can do the hard things and you can balance the things and you can do whatever you put your mind to, whatever that looks like. Like you can be successful, and no matter whatever that success looks like to you, it doesn't have to be my path. It doesn't have to be what the rest of us in the family have done. It doesn't mean that you have to have your 9-to-5 career right out of college and you have your 401k and all of that stuff. That's success is whatever it is to everybody. All of our ideas of success are very different. But just having that realization yesterday, that knowing that no matter what, even though she's upset that I'm going to work, her seeing that I do work that matters, that I care about, that I'm passionate about, that I've put these efforts into these things that I hope that she will someday value. I know she won't anytime soon, but maybe a little older, she'll see how hard I've worked and the commitment I've made to all of the things, because that's just the type of person that I am, that I want to. I like being busy and I like doing all of these things. I don't have to do all of this, but I want to and I choose to, because I'm trying to make a better life for her. And it doesn't take the mom guilt away. Just knowing that I'm being a good role model for her was kind of the realization I had yesterday of I'm working really hard, but I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. And we were talking, and I can't remember who she said it, and maybe I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But it's basically like people are always jealous of where you're at, but they are not jealous of how hard you worked to get there. And that's very true. Like I definitely, especially in my travel career, I, in the very beginning, was comparing myself to a lot of other agents. And I think that was partially why I ended up quitting after 2 years, because my business did not look like anybody else's business. And I took that very much to heart. And so it was just really hard to be like, like this didn't turn out the way that I thought it would. And just seeing that, because it actually takes a lot of work to get where I'm at. And that's true for many things. So that's really going to lead into our topic today, which is finding your why. And there's several components to this. So I'm going to go, when I first started hearing about finding your why. So back in end of 2015 into 2016, I had quit my job at a university. My second husband and I were married. We were living with his parents. I was, again, still just hating life, still trying to figure my way into things. I was working retail. I thought I wanted to be in real estate. Like I was doing travel stuff, but not really doing travel stuff. And I'd gone to a networking thing and I met this woman and she introduced me to Mary Kay. So I actually signed up to be a consultant with Mary Kay. And that was how I started hearing about the messaging about finding your why, which now I hear it all the time. So this has nothing to do with anyone's feelings on Mary Kay, but it really had me thinking about, well, what is my why? And since then, especially with my travel business and even more so starting this podcast, thinking about my why. Because when I started my travel business, my why was very different than what it is now. And that's something that there's so many books and podcasts and websites and so many people out there that are like, let's talk about finding your why, finding your purpose, using your core values and all of those things. And so when I started my travel business, I didn't have a why aside from I thought I would be good at it and I thought it'd be a great career for me and I was going to make tons of money, all of the things, I'd be able to travel for free and all of the benefits of that. And that didn't happen. And so when I didn't renew my contract with Dugans after 2 years and I took that year and a half off and was still really floundering with life and having no direction and being really frustrated because I was working like office jobs that I hated in industries that I knew nothing about. And like, I was just really kind of miserable. And then so early 2018, I had submitted a resume to not a temp agency, but I guess it was a temp agency, kind of. They help people find work and whatever. And I'd applied for a job there. And the recruiter that I talked to, he actually called me and he was like, well, this job has been filled. However, I have this other position. Would you be interested? And I went in and interviewed with him. And he was like, well, I have this position, which is basically data entry for a construction company. Or I have this other kind of executive assistant job. And I was like, I have no interest in doing the executive assistant job, but data entry, yeah, I'm all for it. And so I was just kind of going into an office and working 9 to 5 and being very happy and content to listen to podcasts and just be reviewing documents and stuff like that. And it was great for the time. I really, really actually enjoyed that job. Then about 5 or 6 months in, when my husband and I had started dating and he was traveling, and then I went to go see him. And then after that trip, I was like, I really miss my travel business. I really miss Dugans. I really miss having that business and having all the things that came with it. And so that was when I contacted Dugans again and I was like, hey, I know it's been a while, but I was wondering if I could sign up again. And they were so gracious and welcomed me with open arms to come back to Dugans. Then, of course, I'm building my business and advertising more, and I had some more time to kind of promote myself and do trainings and things like that at night and kind of getting back into the groove of travel stuff. And really back then it was just because I was dating a travel nurse and I knew I was going to be traveling more. And that was kind of why, aside from I just missed my Dugans family and missed just all of the stuff that went with it, because it sounds silly, but the first Dugans U I went to in 2015, the very first presentation was with Globus, and they showed a video, and it wasn't the classic one. If you've known Globus for a long time, you know the commercial I'm talking about, but it was a different one where I think they were just advertising their river cruises, and literally tears came to my eyes because I was just like, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. This is this is exciting to me. And I know it sounds silly, but it is kind of like, it's like when you're somewhere and you get goosebumps because you know that you're in the right spot. So when I joined again, and obviously life has very much changed since when I came back to Dugans in 2018. And so over the years, really thinking about why did I choose to come back to travel and come back to Dugans and doing all of this stuff, especially on those days where, things don't go right, or I've screwed up something on a booking, or a client has negative feedback about an experience or something like that. Like it's just like, okay, let's take a minute and let's think about, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, you certainly don't have to. You could quit at any moment. So for me, my why has always been that I know that I'm good at what I do. And the more and more experience I get, and the more people I talk to, and the more trips I help plan, and the more components that I work on, that just makes my experience better. It helps me with my clients in knowing that I can tackle problems and I can help them through things and show them what a resource I am for them, which is very much the librarian side of me, of answering questions and doing the research and all of that stuff. But now, having my little family, my why is very much of, I want to be a provider for them, and I want to have this successful venture that I love, so that they see that there's a part of what I'm doing that makes me very happy, but also I can talk with them and show them like, hey, I just got this request for this trip. Isn't this cool? And then we talk about like, oh, that'd be so, like, we should do that as a family trip sometime. And now it's just, my why is because I have my little family, and I have this great support system, and I have these great women from these networking groups in my life, and men too, I should say. 2 of the groups are women only, so that's why I said that. But I was like, nope, there's another one that has men in it. But I just have this great support system of business owners and other agents now, and like, it's just become this great little community of people that I'm around, that I'm like, I want to help them, and I want to support them. And so my why has really become to support my family, to show them all of these fun opportunities that are out there in the world that we may or may not get to experience, but just for them to know, like, hey, isn't this a cool thing that you can go do in another country? And also supporting all of my small business friends and people that I can talk to about just the work-life balance thing, the mom guilt, all of, doing all the things, having the multi-interests and all of the day-to-day running around like crazy and forgetting what day it is, which happened to a lot of us yesterday. And the other part of it is that because I want to help people have an enjoyable vacation, trip, whatever it is. If they're, I've found that a lot of people I work with are doing celebration travel. So they are celebrating an anniversary, they're celebrating a graduation, they're celebrating a honeymoon or a baby moon or family reunions. Like, there's just all kinds of things or it's multiple celebrations. It's an anniversary and it's some birthdays, graduation, and all of that stuff. There's just several pieces to all of it. Like, that's the fun part for me, is helping people plan these trips of a lifetime, truly. I mean, for some of them, it is absolutely a trip of a lifetime. And that's why I do this, is that when I get the feedback and I get not even the 5-star ratings, but just to know like, oh, we couldn't have done this trip without you, or it would not have been the same if we didn't have all of your help and support. Or you made this really stressful situation so much easier because we knew that you were on it, and we still got to enjoy our vacation because you were taking care of all of the details. Those are the things that make me so happy. Several months ago, I was working with clients, and I will own it and say I did not communicate well with them, which again, lesson learned. But so they essentially fired me, which was fine. I knew that I had done what I could do. I don't think they would have been happy with anything that I provided for them. So I was really reeling that day because I had been fired. And I ended up getting a text from a friend and client later who was asking me to help with a whole bunch of travel for her. And it's just within that one day going from a really low, like feeling really, really bad about myself, even though talking to others and realizing like it wasn't a good fit ultimately. But then I get to now work on the next thing. And also taking all and then being like, all right, I just need to be I need to communicate more. Even though I feel like I'm communicating a lot, obviously didn't communicate enough. So you just have to keep those reminders and reminding yourself, like, why am I doing this? And is it worth it. And as I've talked about before in other episodes about finding your purpose and realizing, like, are you willing to deal with all of the stress and the headache and all of those moments of just feeling bad, because the good stuff and the happy clients, the happy people, the referrals, all of that outweighs those bad moments. And that is why when I was originally thinking about starting my travel business, it was, well, what do I want to do every day? What would I be happy to do every day? Knowing that what I do is not something that everyone can do, but we do it because we love doing this kind of thing, and not everybody likes to do that. So the other part of it is now more recently thinking about it. So I hired a business coach last year, towards the end of the year. She's really the reason why I started this podcast. And I was telling her a couple of weeks ago about how I know myself, and I know that I'm going to get super excited about this thing, and I'm going to do all of this stuff, and I'm going to be talking about it, and I'm going to put the first episode up, and I'm going to lose all motivation for it very quickly. Like, I'm just going to be over it and just not want to go in and record. Even though I have like a ridiculously long list of topics that I can talk about, I know that I'm just going to lose momentum for it. And so she started asking me questions, and she was like, well, why are you even doing this podcast? And I was like, because I want to help new travel agents. That's really what I'm passionate about. I've always loved helping people with trainings and like new employee orientations and welcoming people to, whether it's the company I'm working for or the industry, or like, I want to be a resource for people that didn't have, like, not that I didn't have support in the beginning. The support looked very different for me in the beginning. So I want to be a resource for advisors that I didn't get when I first started my business. And so that's why I'm doing this. And then it was like, okay, well, what's your audience? And I was like, well, I mean, I believe my audience is travel advisors, obviously, but I want to have conversations with small business owners, whether it's a small business owner that can help travel advisors or helps other small businesses like the bookkeepers and the leadership coaches and the website people and the branding people and all of that stuff who help small businesses. But I'm like, but really, I want to be talking to people about their path and how they got to where they are, and talking to other travel advisors and hearing their stories about their business, but then also talking to suppliers and talking about my experiences and talking about all of these different topics, this huge long list that I have. And she's like, well, I'm going to make some notes so that when you're feeling less than motivated, I'm going to remind you of all of these things and why you're doing this. And it's been super helpful, even just to have that conversation. I haven't had to have her remind me yet. That might change in a couple months. But because we had that conversation, it's now in my mind, this is why I'm doing it. And it's very much like years ago when I was separated from my second husband, before I had met my current husband, and I had made kind of a very low-key version of a vision board for myself. And it's kind of like doing that, of just keeping that picture of my family and also reminding myself of what my goals are for the year. And those are the things that I think about with my why. And usually when you hear some people talk about their why, it's like, well, I was in this dead-end job, or I hated what I was doing. I was really miserable. And then I was introduced to this opportunity, and now I'm making tons of money, and I have time to spend with my family, and my schedule is flexible, and all of the things. And I think it's much like when we're talking about goals or what success looks like. It's different for everybody, and our whys are different for everybody. For me, I'm like, truly, this business is, I'm here to help people. I want to help other agents and just kind of give them some insight into the industry, and just having these discussions, and knowing that all of these people that are coming in that are new to it, and just know you're not alone and that you're not having to figure it all out on your own. There are plenty of other agents out here that are happy to support you, happy to help you with your business and help you grow your business. And that's what I want to be. Like, I love being a resource for people. I love talking to new agents if they have questions, and just being a sounding board for them. And that's really why I started this podcast, was to do all of those things and provide a lot more information than what's out there. You know, a lot of the time it's like I just see a bunch of stuff about marketing, and it's not about any of the other stuff, unless you're looking at it from the small business side, which really, like, you have to take the travel advisor part of it out to find those small business things that you need, like the bookkeeping and the market research and finding your demographics and market saturation and all of those things. Like there's so many other components to it that it isn't just marketing your business. So I hope, as I've rambled on again about my why, I know it's different from everybody. I will also say, and I know it will come up time and time again, but I charge a fee. I charge a new client fee because I am passionate about my clients having a wonderful vacation, and I am invested in their vacation, and I want them to be as committed as I am. And because I don't want to work for free. I think a lot of people just think that we get paid from suppliers and that's it. And it's like, yeah, but if I do all the research and you don't book with me, I don't get anything. I would much rather, if I'm not going to get paid, I'm going to be spending time with my family, and I'm going to be spending time helping other agents, and I'm going to be spending time in my full-time. Like I have plenty of other things to do that I know that the clients that pay my fee are wanting to work with me. And that has been life-changing for my business as well. I know that's a very controversial, I know people go back and forth about it, but for me, that has been life-changing and part of my why, because I now have a daughter who has only come into this halfway through, and I'm like, now my priorities have changed, and I want to be working with the people that want to work with me. And if they have no desire to work with me, then I'm going to be spending time with my daughter instead of wasting my time looking at itineraries that people they're going to take it and run and book it on their own. And so priorities change, which is perfectly fine. Your why can completely change. And maybe that will lead you down a totally different path as well. So again, without rambling, I hope this at least was somewhat helpful for you to think about your why and help you kind of discern what you're doing, and helps you kind of craft that when you're talking to people. And, when you know your why and you know that you can explain it to other people and they'll see that passion in you, that excites them and that will make them want to work with you. So with that, until next time, safe travels, and may your luggage follow you wherever you go. Today's episode of Life Between Flights was sponsored by me, Traveling North, produced by me and edited by Nomad Creations. Please check out the show notes for referral links, discount codes, and more resources that I've talked about in this episode. You can also follow along on our social media on Facebook and Instagram at Life Between Flights Pod. If you want help planning your next adventure, you can always check me out at travelingnorthagency.com. If you have any questions, ideas, or would like to sponsor this podcast, you can email us at lifebetweenflightspod@gmail.com.